federal stimulus for small business owners. That means real estate agents and other small business owners. What's out there? Listen, there's as much bad information as there is good about this right now. It's a lot of confusion. And I'll tell you what, I'm not an attorney. Long's not an attorney. But guess what? Mark is. And so what we did was we brought out the big guns for this. Mark, I've unmuted your microphone just as an FYI. But we brought out the guns. We brought out Mark J. Kohler, who is my personal attorney. And he's also the Club Wealth attorney that handles our taxes and everything related to taxes and our businesses, as well as business structures and all this. He is a bona fide expert on what's happening right now with this. And he's going to walk us through exactly what we all need to know about how, first of all, is there money available for us? And if there is, how do we access it? And when it comes to these small business loans, are they forgivable? Are they not? And then we may, toward the end, we may also talk just a little bit about how do we handle it with some of our employees, because there's also some new employee rights stuff coming out related to the Family Medical Leave Act. It's called the Families First Coronavirus Response Act. That's going to be at the very tail end, time permitting. But for right now, Mark, let's get right to it. Talk to us. What the heck is going on out there? What has been passed? What's real? What's not real? And how do we get to take advantage of it?
Well, let's set expectations. I'm glad you said we're going to have Mark Kohler tell us everything we need to know. People, we are learning things by the hour. We've got the SBA, the Labor Department, the IRS, the White House. Everybody's trying to keep up with one another and get this money out to you and me, small business owners, Main Street America, as soon as possible. I actually have a live audience here as well with business owners that are like, you're going live, I got to be there. So we're going to be fielding your questions. We'll have a couple questions here in the studio. There is so much to tell you. And guys, there are a lot of golden nuggets in this legislation, but it's complex. And I'll tell you, for agents, I know we got a lot of real estate agents and brokers out there. Whew, there is some cool, complex stuff here. We're going to break it down as best we can. Mike, thanks for having me. Michael, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Let me start with this, guys. So we already have a ton of people logged in, and where we're going to be taking your questions live, if you'll go to facebook.com/groups/Club Wealth, that'll put you in the Club Wealth group where we'll be able to answer your questions live as they happen. Now, understand we may hold off on your question a little bit later as Mark has a chance to answer things with the material that he's got prepared already. So, Mark.
Okay. Mike, is this backwards to you?
Nope, we can see it just fine. It is perfect. It says test.
Huh. It's the weirdest thing in mine. It looks backwards, but that's, Zoom for you. Everybody's trying to figure it out.
I know. Okay. What's interesting is your logo, the Mark J. Kohler logo, is backwards, but the test on the other side.
Look at that. We thought it was logo. Okay, fix that while we're at it. Thanks, Logan. I got my tech team here. Okay, what we're going to do, let me give you a little outline of where we want to go with this. I got to stand up for this too because it's just so insane. I've got like 8 pages of yellow pads here. Let me just tell everybody, so you're a little patient with me here. This stimulus package, the CARES Act, was 800 pages long. It is the largest relief package in the history of America, $2 trillion, 800 pages of content. The good news here, that's the bad news, there's a lot to digest. The good news is here, unlike the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, which I thought was heavily weighted for big corporations, and unlike the relief package in 2007 and 8, when the real estate market crashed, which was of course there to save the banks, this package is for you and me. There is so much in here for the small business owner and the average American. It actually shocked me. I'm like, hold on, what country are we in? The lobbyists didn't get a hold of this and screw us over again? It's good. So keep that in mind. There's a lot of pieces and parts here. Let me give you an agenda of what I want to try to do. First, I'm just going to say a couple words about the stimulus checks that are going to be coming out. I know that's not a big deal for business owners per se, but we're all individuals first. So we want to talk about that. I want to talk about the Sba Loan Forgiveness for those of you that have current Sba loans. We're going to talk about that. Then I want to talk about oh boy, where do we want to go with this? I'm going to talk about unemployment for a moment. And the reason why many of you small business owners are S-Corp owners and you're employees of your own S-Corp. Also, sole proprietors and LLC owners, whether you're S-Corp or not, you're entitled to unemployment. Okay, so unemployment, you got to decide, do I want to claim unemployment on myself or do I want to keep myself on payroll? right? So we got to break that down. Then we've got to talk about the two types of loans. The economic, okay, I'm just going to call it the EIDL. How do I erase this again, bud? What do I hit? How do I do it? Talk to me.
Bottom left corner, the little arrows, back arrows.
Okay, there we go. I double click. I figured it out. Okay, what there is now, how do I get my pen back on? Help me out. I need you standing by me if needs be. We got 1,000 people watching. How do I get my pen working again? Okay, I've got my tech here. Thank you. All right, so now there's two loans under the SBA program. There's the EIDL. Now the EIDL is one that you have to refer to, and it's very important because it's the Economic Injury Disaster Loan, the EIDL. That's different from the Paycheck Protection Program, which is PPP. So we're going to look, thank you, Logan, and I'm going to screw this up from time to time, so I appreciate your patience. Okay, these two loans, did it again. I don't know what's going on, bud. What do I hit?
Sorry.
Okay, I'm sorry, everybody. Come stand by me until we figure this out. Okay, I got an eraser now. How do I get back to my thing? Okay.
So hit pen and
Then I go? Okay, let's try this again. Okay, thanks everybody. We want to make this so everybody can see it well. We have two loans. We have the EIDL, and then we have the PPP, which is the Paycheck Protection Program. Michael, I'm going to throw it back here in 2 seconds. I just want to get our outline. So we have stimulus checks, the Sba Loan Forgiveness, unemployment, the EIDL, the Payment Protection Program, and then we've got to talk about paid leave, because you could claim that even for your family members potentially. And then you've got the FMLA, which is the Family Medical Leave Act. Now, you may say, well, some of that doesn't affect me. No, it does. If you're a small business owner, remember, a lot of this is being given to you as a sole proprietor or an S-Corp owner, where in the past, you never got that. So there's a lot of moving parts here, and you have to choose the best structure for your situation. And it can be different from two different business owners. So that's the plan, Michael. What do you think? Am I missing something?
No, I think that's a huge, talking about this, and you're talking about the Family Medical Leave Act. We had a little conversation about that earlier, but I got to tell you, it does apply to not only people that have employees, but to people who, as you said, if you are employed by your own company, you need to understand the law as it relates to this, because there could be benefits for you as well that may or may not be reimbursed by the government in form of tax credits and other ways. And so I'm super excited about this. Honestly, Mark, I just want to let you talk. I'm sure that when you get all exhausted out and have talked to yourself into oblivion, then Long and I'll probably jump in with some more questions. But I got to tell you guys, seriously, there's only, and some people would tell you, oh, there's an unlimited amount of money. I think we all know there is not an unlimited amount of money in the world. There is an amount of money allocated for this. And at some point in time, it could potentially run out. And we need to make sure that we're taking advantage of this early in the process.
Now, Michael, just
and not to worry, Mark, because we got the exclusive with you. So whatever you do the very first time, we're here with you, man.
Yeah,
exactly.
By the way, and I say this humbly, and I'm so grateful to be a part of the Club Wealth family, and many of you that are sharing this Facebook Live and webinar with your friends and family and fellow business owners. So I know some of you out there don't even know who Club Wealth is. They're an amazing education company for realtors and brokers around the country. They're the ones sponsoring this, and I'm grateful to have Michael and Long here helping me pull this off. Now, there's everybody out there, even those that are realtors and brokers. You've got people in your family that run maybe straight retail businesses or restaurants and all that. So this is all inclusive here. So, but the point that Michael just made that's very important, you want to be at the front of the line. I was last night applying for some of these loans myself, and for my law firm, and for my real estate business. We're going to get to a point here where you can make applications under multiple businesses. See, so this is big, people. All right, do you have those numbers for me?
so it looks like they're getting their, you want to know when they're getting their payment.
When they phase out, if they don't get it or don't. Singles, 75 grand, married couples, 150, right?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, let's start with the stimulus checks. This is a moving target, so I've got my team here researching items as we go. So let's just talk about stimulus checks. Everybody, if you're single, you are supposed to get $1,200 check in the mail, unless you make more than $75,000. If you make more than 75, tough. Apparently you're rich. If you're a married couple, you're getting $2,400 unless your AGI on your tax return last year was greater than 150 grand. Then you're going to phase out. Now, some of you maybe will go, how do they know who I am? How am I going to get this check? It's based on the last tax return you filed, people. This is why for some of you, and I know some of you are watching, I haven't filed for the last couple of years. Well, this is why you need to be filing, because the IRS doesn't even know you freaking exist. So if you want some of this money, you may want to run down to H&R Block and file 2016, 2017, and 2018 so you get in front of the line. All right, so these are the stimulus checks. The Treasury Department said that these should be going out in the next 2 weeks. That's what we've heard. We'll see. Now, for any of you that have children that are dependents of yours, you're going to get an extra $500. Now, I don't want to spend a lot of time on this, but a lot of people say, oh, well, I have a college student. They're at college. If they're under age 24 and they qualify as a dependent, you can Google this. If you've been claiming your college student as a dependent and they're under age 24, you're going to get $500. They're going to get zero. But I've got college students that have not been on their parents' tax return. They've been claiming themselves, and they've been getting their FAFSA filled out and getting student loans, right? You know that type. They're going to get the $1,200. So I've got college students that are 24, just got married. They're going to get $2,400. That's you. You know what I'm saying? All right. I got a couple guys in the room that just got married. That's you too. $2,400. So now if you haven't filed married filing jointly yet, you may want to file your 2019 return because you might even be getting a refund. See, this stimulus check thing is a moving target too. So that's the topic. Michael, do you have any follow-up on that? I want to move on, but I want to just get that out there. This is a big point. You want to be on the right IRS's mailing list. See what I'm saying? And if they don't know you're married, you're going to get $1,200. If they know you're married, it's $2,400. So you got to be in the mix on this. Anybody? Michael?
What I've got to add to that, and I can't wait to hear with Coach Long, but what I got to add to that, you guys, did you hear what Mark just said? This is why we file taxes every year, right? Don't get me wrong. I hate having to pay as much as the next. Actually, that's not entirely true. I actually love paying taxes because it tells me I made a bunch of money. But I will say this. This is why you file, and this is why you file on time. So that's it. Coach,
Okay.
and by the way, for those of you that don't know, Coach Long runs multiple very successful multi-million-dollar businesses. He's one of the most brilliant guys I know. And this guy risked his life to come to America. And let me tell you something, if there's one person on this planet that understands the importance of being an American citizen and the value that that brings, it's that guy right there. So I'm really glad to have you on with us, Long.
Thank you.
Thanks, Long. Long, any comments on the stimulus check, or should we go on?
What's the maximum total amount there, Mark?
The maximum
Family
amount,
qualified.
well, if you had 10 kids, you're getting $5,000. So for every kid that's a dependent of yours on your tax return. Now, if you're divorced and you didn't claim your kid last year, and your spouse is probably going to get the $500. So I know there's a lot of questions there in the his, hers, and ours, married, divorced, who's claiming what kid. Big topic. Call your CPA, call your accountant, get on the web, start searching this out on the IRS for the stimulus checks. To be honest, I've been more focused on the business piece of this. So I haven't looked at the stimulus check. And I know many of you realtors, brokers, and Club Wealth members, you're making more than 75 or 150. So I'm making more than that, gratefully, and I'm humbly grateful for that. So I haven't hyper focused on that. And I'm a small business consultant. So don't be offended if I didn't go in deep on that, but that's the issue. So for every kid, $500, $2,400 if you're married. If you make more than 150 AGI, you're out. Okay, you're gonna have to show me how to do this every time it doesn't work. And I'm sorry, guys, I'm getting used to this new iPad Pro and I wanna freaking throw it out the window.
Bottom right corner.
Dude, I was just going to say, we just identified the problem right there. Android, brother. We got to get you on an Android.
You think an Android will make this easier?
Where's your
Okay,
Surface
that's out.
Pro?
I'm out of here. All right, okay. Thank you, bud. All right.
Hey,
No
Mark.
water
while
in
you-
this place? Someone get me a bottle of water or something.
Hayden's
Hayden's coming? Okay. All right.
Hey, Mark, let me just check really quick here in the comments. I've got a couple of comments in here while you're going through that. So one of our clients, Jeff Russell, says, hey, I filed for 17 but not 18. Am I okay?
Wow. See, if you were the IRS, what would you do? Would I
Right?
send a stimulus check to someone that didn't file their tax return last year?
Yep.
Boy, I think you're rolling the dice. Now, you can always amend your 18, just file whatever the hell you got, for crying out loud. But I would research that. You may even want to call the IRS hotline. I call the IRS hotline once in a while. It's not the end of the world. Call them up and go, I want my stimulus check, but I didn't file 18. Am I going to get it? I don't know the answer to it.
Joanne asked if and I think it's along the same lines where, if I file 2019, will it supersede my 2018 income because my income is more advantageous than 19? And Mark, I think the obvious answer to that is yes, or am I wrong on that?
I think if you, oh boy, I apologize. I don't know if you have to give back the stimulus if you make more than the limit and you got the stimulus. I wouldn't. Now, again, I'm just guessing here. If you make more, if last year you made less than 150 and you get the stimulus of 2,400, and then this year you make more than 150, do you get to keep your stimulus? I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if the IRS says we want it back because you made too much money in 2020. But at the same token, they may say as long as in 2019 you made this lesser amount, you might be fine. I don't know. Great question. I'm sorry. I'm going to tell you when I don't know. All right. Yep. Sba loan forgiveness. Now this is going to be topic number 2. Now for those out there, and Long, you may have this situation too. I've got 2 SBA loans in my life. I know we got another business owner in here that has an SBA loan. That could be a 504, a 7A. So if you got an SBA loan from years ago, I had an SBA loan to buy my own building for my business. Very common. There, you can apply for a 6-month deferral. The federal government is going to make your payment, including principal and interest, for 6 months. That's what we're hearing.
Did you say deferred or you say forgiveness?
I don't want to say either word. You're not being forgiven. They're just making the payment for you. So it's not deferred because I don't have to pay it back later. If you apply, and I believe you have to say, I've been affected by the coronavirus, which means my tenant may not be paying my loan. Is that correct? You have to be able to prove that you've been affected. Now, that's a very general term. You can say, my income's down. My tenant didn't pay their rent. Coronavirus sucks. Okay, all right. And we got this from our Key Bank, or was that through Idaho State Bank? Okay, Bank of Idaho. So I've already called our Wells Fargo rep. I know we already called another one at Key Bank, and we got Bank of Idaho. All the agents are saying you just have to show that you were impacted by coronavirus. You can get 6 months of the federal government paying your loan payment for you. Are you kidding me? So you want to look into that. Now here, just like Michael said, his point at the beginning of this webinar could be the most important one. Do not delay. If you got an SBA loan, you should be calling your banker right now saying, I want that application when it comes out. I want it freaking in there, and I want my 6-month deferral. The end. So that's topic number 2. Pretty straightforward. Some of you don't have this. Some of you do. I'm just grabbing the low-hanging fruit. Any thoughts or comments out there?
That's a huge, and I really hope my wife is paying attention right now because I'll tell you what, we've got an SBA loan on our brand new building that we just did, and holy cow.
Whoa, baby.
That's, I mean, you're talking some serious change there. I mean, that's a lot of freaking money.
Yeah, and let me say something too, Long. I know you want to comment. Let me just say this too. I've already had a couple people say, hey, Mark, you're a tax lawyer, and I know the image is out there, a lawyer, a doctor, or whatever, you make good money, whatever. You know what? I've got 3 kids in college. I'm trying to make ends meet. I'm trying to have a payroll where I didn't lay 1 employee off yet. It's been scary. We've been touch and go. We've been trying to keep our employees employed. Have I been affected by coronavirus? Sure. And some people have said, well, Mark, you don't deserve the benefit. Well, you know what? Guess what? Guess who's going to be paying for this benefit for the next 10 years? All of us.
That's right.
And so if there's free money out there to help me, to help my employees, I'm going to get it. So if some of you got a hang up with that, I'm sorry, but I never get any benefit.
I want to hear Long's thoughts on this too, because I know Long agrees with you for a little bit different reason. But Long, share with us what you shared in the group the other day.
Yeah, so a couple of things. First of all, when you call your bank, don't be disappointed they don't know enough, because a lot of them don't have all the instructions yet. They have no idea what's going on. Mark might know more than they do probably right now. But yeah, the other thing that I believe is that you're right, because even if we don't need the funds right now that we can use to reinvest back in the business, first of all, the housing market accounts for about 17% of the GDP, right? So we're going to be leading the economy to come back. But the restaurant industry, employ 10% of the people too. So, I mean, get the money, reinvest back, and go out and do more business meetings, whatever you got to do. Use the money to make it good. So I would say everybody, even if you don't need it right now, go see if you can qualify, because you can find ways to help the community out.
Yeah,
That's right.
I like it. And here's another thing, people. You may say, oh, my business is doing okay right now. If you watch the news in the last 24 hours, this pandemic ain't getting better right now. And who knows how long this pain's going to last. Like Michael said, get in line as soon as you can. And again, I like what Long said. My banker didn't have the answers. He's like, I'm waiting for the loan docs. And I said, I want to be on the list, your mom and then me. You know, just call me as soon as the loan docs are ready. I'm in, because you might need it in 3 months. If you don't, pay the freaking loan off. Who's going to care? You know? All right.
And by the way, a couple of comments in the chat here. And by the way, thank you guys for your live comments. We appreciate it. It's helpful for, I think a lot of people get a lot out of it. A couple of them were, one, all the income that we're talking about, is that net or gross income, like this $150,000 threshold? Is that pre-tax or post-tax income?
On the stimulus package, and you can verify this with I've got my research assistant here. My current understanding, unless I hear differently, that is adjusted gross income. It's not gross and it's not net. It's your AGI. Now, if some of you want to Google, how do you define AGI? It's usually that bottom line on the front page of your tax return. So that's going to be after business deductions, but before your standard deduction. So anyway, I'm not going to get into defining what AGI means, but look it up. I believe it's 75 grand AGI single, 150 AGI married.
Perfect.
Okay, now let's get into unemployment. And this is a big one because, again, as a small business owner, you can claim unemployment. Oh, we can talk about this for an hour, so I'm just going to hit the highlights and try to make a few points here. All right. First, under the new CARES Act, unemployment under the state has been extended by 13 weeks, so now you can get 26 weeks of unemployment. Okay, so that's point number one. Let's make sure we make sense of this. Unemployment. Usually you go to your state for that, everybody. Now, some of you have never claimed unemployment. I'm grateful. When I was first married, I went and claimed food stamps because we were trying to feed a baby. I've been there. I've been a poor college student, but I've never claimed unemployment because I've always been a worker. But I know some of you need this. You've been laid off and you're highly skilled. So no judging anybody here, but I'm just saying, if you don't know, unemployment is a state deal. Thank you. Okay, so unemployment is normally 12 to 13 weeks. The federal government has extended it and said, we'll pick up the bill for an extra 13 weeks. People, 26 weeks means you could be on unemployment until the end of December. All right, so you're getting 26 weeks of state benefit. Now the state benefits range from 150 to 550. Now, I don't know what state's 150. It's maybe one of the more poorer states. I don't know. But I know New York, the maximum is $500, let's say. I think California is 450, $500. Now, again, don't quote me, people, but you have to look at your state unemployment rules. So go to your state and you're going to find out, okay, I can get anywhere from 150 to 550. Next, the federal government for the next 12 weeks said you get $600 from the feds. So you're getting 12 weeks and it ends at the end of July. Is that correct? I believe so. The end of July, I get 12 weeks. I can get federal unemployment, a maximum of 12 weeks times $600. People, that is at 600, $7,200. So you can get to $7,200 in federal. If I do the state number, and let's say you get all 550, let's say at 26 weeks, that's 14,500. So 14,300, sorry, for a total of 21,500. I know some of you may be falling off your seat. You can get $21,500 in unemployment between now and December if you decide to not look for a job. Now, there's going to be requirements under state law that you start looking for jobs and all that good stuff that you have to go through. But here's what's amazing. If you get $500 from the state, you now get $600 from the Fed. For the next 12 weeks, you could get $1,100 a week in unemployment. Now you want to keep that in the back of your mind. For some of you out there that are an S corporation, okay, now Michael, this is where I'm going to blow your mind long. If you're an S corporation and you've had your spouse on payroll to contribute to his or her 401k, I just fired my spouse. She can go claim unemployment. My wife can now go get $1,100 a week. That's $4,400. Now, what's her name? One of the representatives on the House floor last week was going ballistic, saying, what the heck? We're going to give people that this is an average of $26 an hour. There's people out there that are going to be getting more money to be on unemployment than if they worked. Now, this is why some of you were like, why is the Senate and House fighting? This is one of the things that we're fighting about. People are getting more money under unemployment than they were getting working. Whatever.
Wait, so are you saying if someone's salary is $3,000 a month, they could potentially with this get more than what they were getting paid working?
Yes. Woo. Now, the big picture is here, we're trying to stimulate the economy. Fair enough. And I'll tell you, if anybody's lost their job, my heart goes out to them. This is bad. This financial devastation is bad. And some of these people are saying that doesn't even make up for what I'm going through. And I understand that. And I think that's why it got passed too. Now, there will be those freeloaders that take advantage of it, but there's going to be a big chunk of people that really desperately need this. And to help make up for the damage they've already faced. Michael, you want to say something?
I want to stop here because that's an important connotation. I want people to understand, we are by no means suggesting that you become a burden on the system by not working. Okay, we're not suggesting that anybody quit their job, deliberately get fired or anything like that, so that you are now a drain on the system as opposed to a contributor to it. Our advice is be a contributor to the system and take advantage of the help that's there for those that need it. That just whatever you do, please don't like abandon your job in hopes of gaining these benefits.
Okay. Now,
hey, Mark, on a follow up on that, can I ask this?
Yes, sir.
A lot of our real estate agents that we work with are wondering if they're having a bad time do they qualify? Because normally unemployment is associated with W-2 people.
That's right. Under this bill, even if you're an S Corp owner of yourself, you at least get the federal. Now, there's a few states that do not allow S Corp owners to take out unemployment on themselves if a business doesn't make payroll for themselves. There's only a few states. Now, you got to look at your state rules on how you apply for this. But yes, you can get this federal $600 a week, even if you fire yourself in your own S Corp. Now, I'm not saying that's a bad thing to do, but I've got my daughter in the room. She's a real estate agent of an S Corp. And well, down the road, that's a whole other story. But I've got real estate agents out there. Sorry, I don't want to drag her into the middle of this. She's looking over there. What are you doing? Okay, we got S Corp owners out there that aren't getting closings. Do you think they're entitled to unemployment? Absolutely. They're not being a freeloader. Now, once you get a closing, you're off. Okay. See, once you make money, you're not unemployed anymore. That's the catch.
But with our 500 plus agents we have here at Realty Group, if they're working the deal and they're closing not until June or July, they could qualify for unemployment right now.
Yes. Now, by the way, people, this is so complex. I'm not stating you should go out and claim unemployment. Maybe some of you should. Wait till I get to the 2 SBA loans because you're going to want to choose one or the other. This is very complex. Now, here's where I think this is good though. If you're an S Corp owner or a sole proprietor and you've been hiring your spouse or your kids and you're not paying them now, they can go claim unemployment. Now, here's the trick though. Every state law is different on this. For example, I'll just use California. You've got to show, I had some notes earlier today on it, but every state's different. So I looked at California, I looked at Arkansas, I looked at a few different states. In order to claim unemployment, you have to be able to qualify under the normal rules for unemployment. Okay, let me just give an example. In most states, you have to show that you've been on payroll the last 2 quarters. For example, you can't go work at Applebee's for 2 weeks and then go claim unemployment. You won't get it. You have to show that you've worked there at least 6 months, and then your unemployment is based on that. Other states, you have to look at a 6-month, it's called the base period. You have to look at the base period and how much you were paid during that base period in the last, sometimes 18 months. Every state's different. So I want to tell all of you, again, like Michael said, don't sit around and wait for it to fall in your lap. Get engaged. Go look at the unemployment rules in your state. If my spouse, who I put on payroll 6 months ago, allows her to qualify, I may tell my spouse, Jennifer, you're now unemployed. Now, here's the crazy part. What if you've got an S Corp? Have you filed your first quarter payroll yet? I haven't. It starts tomorrow, April 1st. I've got to do my payroll report for the first quarter. Michael, are you going to put your wife on payroll for the first quarter of 2020? If you do, her FICA, 15%, is due in the next 4 weeks. But if I put her on payroll, she might get unemployment. So you have to say, okay, I can get unemployment of 10 or 7,200 bucks, but how much do I need to put her on payroll for the last 3 months, pay my FICA on her so she can get 7,200. Now, if I put her on payroll for 20 grand at 15%, there's 3,500. Well, I get 7,200. Let me see, what's more, 7,200 or 3,500? See, so you got to say, oh my gosh, if my wife or my husband's going to claim unemployment, I got to show them on payroll 3 months ago. Then I got to put them on unemployment to get at least the 7,200 on the Fed plus the state. So you might make 15 grand at the state, but you still got to put him or her on payroll and do your 941, which is due this month. Some of you are saying, well, I don't want to call my accountant until July because I got deferred. Our phones are ringing off the hook because people are like, I need to get my payroll done because I got to be able to claim unemployment or get qualified for the SBA loan.
That's right.
Done.
See what I'm
Can I
saying?
ask, well, that's like blowing people's mind right now, right? So
Yeah.
here's a question for you, Mark. Do you have to qualify to get state first before you get that $600 per week federal?
Yes. You have, the federal government has said, in order to get the federal $600 unemployment, you have to first get it at the state level. See, the Fed's saying, we'll help you out, but all the states have different rules for unemployment. So if you live in Kentucky, you got to go get unemployment in Kentucky and maybe you only get 200 a week, but we're going to throw 600 on top once you get it through Kentucky. So the unemployment claims don't go through the Fed, they go through the state, and the Fed's going to send you an extra check once you get the state benefit. So if you don't qualify for unemployment in Kentucky, you're not getting the Fed 600 either. Now, self-employed individuals have a whole separate rule, because if you're a sole proprietor, your income is your employment. And so this is what my partner calls, this is a whole wipeout. Let's say you were, you're a sole proprietor and your income is now zero. You don't get a paycheck, but you're an agent and you made money all 12 months last year, or an average of. So you're going to go to the unemployment office and say, I'm a sole proprietor. I'm not making money anymore. I'm out of business. I need unemployment. So you're going to get the state and the Fed, but as soon as you start making money again, you're employed. See what I'm saying?
Okay. Question. Smart asks, what if we're paying 1099 individual? Does that qualify or not qualify for payroll?
Who they're getting paid 1099, or they're paying someone else?
So they're paying on a 1099.
They're paying who?
So they've got 1099 contractors working for me. Like Long has 400 or 500 of them. So with those 1099 independent contractors, well, that count toward the payroll.
Okay, this is a good question. And the web was breaking up a little bit. I got it. Okay.
Yep.
Here's the tricky part. Long is paying subcontractors or agents in his brokerage, right? Long? 1099s. Okay. They are not employees of Long. But
Correct.
Let's say Tommy over here is an agent working for Long, and Tommy gets a 1099 from Long. What's Tommy? He's a sole proprietor. People, if you're getting a 1099, if you're an Uber driver, if you're a Lyft driver, you are a small business owner. This is what I've been trying to tell people for 2 years. This is the gig economy. A gig economy person is a small business owner. If you're getting a 1099, you're a sole proprietor. If you're not getting a 1099 anymore, you just lost your job.
That's right. So
Okay,
again,
here's a couple nuances. This was on the Today Show this morning, and this is why I've been begging to get on with Savannah. I've been around every network across the country from Pittsburgh to Chicago to LA, but I can't get on GMA or Today. I don't know why. I'm going to be there someday. Their expert got it wrong. So on the Today Show this morning, someone called up and said, I'm currently getting unemployment. I started unemployment before coronavirus. Do I get the $600? Yes. They said no. But all the research we're seeing and in the bill, if you're currently on unemployment, the feds are going to pop in $600 starting. Now, I could be wrong, but I'm just saying the 3 experts I talked today in my research said you're getting it. Number 2, there was another technical point I wanted to say. 600. Okay, you have to remember people. Oh, here's the other one. Let's say you're an agent with a day job, okay? Or let's say you're driving Uber on the side. You lose your day job, but you're making money with Uber. You're not unemployed. So you may say, I'm not going to drive Uber. I'll get more on unemployment. Let's say you're an agent and your agency business died and you want to claim unemployment on your small business, but you picked up a part-time job at Home Depot. You're employed. You don't get unemployment. See, unemployment are for the people that are completely unemployed. That means W-2s or small business. You can't say, oh, I'll claim unemployment on my job, but I still have a side business. No, a side business is a freaking job. So you got to remember, you're going to be sitting home eating Cheerios. And that's when you're going to get bored. If you're like me and Michael and Long, you can only do that about 5 days. And then you're like, I got to be contributing to society. I need a job. So you're going to go crazy at some point, even if it's $1,100 a week. Thoughts,
Okay.
guys? What do you think? Any questions, comments?
So we've got a ton of questions, and guys, we're trying to get to these questions as fast as we can, but understand many of your questions that you're asking are going to be answered as he goes through this information kind of in an organized fashion. Those that don't get answered, please, repost, and we'll come back to it. We'll make sure that it gets answered. One of the questions that we've seen a couple of times is, what if I'm an LLC? What then if I'm not an S Corp?
Okay. All right, people, we're going to go back to Mark Kohler 101. And I'm going to say this honestly. I'm doing this for free to try to get the word out, but I'm still a business owner. And so I'm just going to say this. I'm teaching this stuff all the time. I just didn't wake up today and say, I'm going to talk about the stimulus package. In fact, I read the stimulus package last night. I didn't go to sleep. But here's the thing. We've got a law firm and accounting firm nationwide helping clients. Our 7 attorneys are taking phone calls right now doing a stimulus package consult, like which is best for me. Now, many of you after this webinar, you're still gonna have questions. Go to your professional. If you don't have someone to turn to and the web looks like gobbledygook, schedule an hour with any of my tax lawyers. Yeah, you're gonna spend $300. But guess what? I wanna get you $30,000 or $3,000 or $300,000. We're coming to some big numbers. So pay a professional to help you, guide you, and then get going on it. So if you need help, I'm just gonna say it now. For those that, I want to write up there. KK. I'm
Just
using
write on
a
your
whiteboard.
That's awesome. Freaking Apple, man. If that was an Android, you never would have done that. Hey, listen, so while you're doing that, Mark, I want to share this with you. If you guys choose to reach out to Mark, Long and I have both hired him. I'm gonna be very transparent with you guys. I want you guys to understand something. His team is going to be over freaking whelmed with calls over the next 30, 60 days. You need to be patient. You need to follow up with. They're not going to track you down. They're not going to have the bandwidth to chase you down to get this document or that document. You're going to have to be patient with this process. But I'm telling you right now, guess who's helping me do this? Guess who's taking me through this? I'm not doing it. Tara's not doing it. We're getting Mark's team to do it.
Well, and thank you.
Yeah, let's face it. Every time we have Mark on Club Wealth event, he's backed up another 6 months. So not a couple of weeks.
Yeah, and I'm going to be transparent too. And I think Michael will appreciate that. We're a law firm and accounting firm. My law firm, my 7 attorneys, I'm one of the 7 attorneys. We have 5 associates, 2 partners. Matt Sorensen, amazing partner. We get in, we consult, we give clients a plan, we give them a diagram, we set up their entity, we do their maintenance, we do their estate plan, they're off to the races. Maybe 1 or 2 consults a year. Whatever you pay us, we're saving you freaking 20 times. Easy, our law firm hums. The accounting firm, people, it's hard. It's hard. We've stumbled once in a while. I want to admit that. I have got 60 accountants from CPAs down to bookkeepers. I'm trying to train them to communicate, return phone calls, but they're accountants. I have to brainwash them after they go to college. And number two, doing a tax return from start to finish can be very demanding. Communication can be difficult when everybody's trying to run their lives. And those Club Wealth coaches out there, I know it's been hard sometimes working with my accounting firm with the workload that we have. Please be patient and know that I am working hard to train them. And whenever there's a problem, you let me know and I'm going to solve it. But I want to be transparent to you and say, hey, you need a consult on this? My lawyers are ready to go. My accounting firm, we're busy. Be patient and always let me know if there's a problem and I'll help you out. Mike, it's okay to say that.
No, it's fantastic. I appreciate you being so transparent with that. Hey, another question that keeps coming up, Mark.
Sorry, Michael. I never answered the LLC question.
The LLC. Go for LLC, and then I've got another one. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. By the way, people, why I said all that is because it's opened up this world. If you haven't been watching my videos on YouTube, get over there. I've got 60 to 80 free YouTube videos on these topics. I've got 4 books on Amazon. I've got news interviews all over my YouTube channel. I'm trying to be America's expert for this, and my relationship with Club Wealth is very valuable to me. So let me tell you how this works. Where you're going to learn left side, right side. Let me just say it quickly. For those of you that have an LLC versus an S corp, this is a sole proprietorship. Remember that, people. You are a sole proprietorship as an LLC. You're going to be on a Schedule C. Now, if you're an S corp, you're going to get a W-2 and a K-1. Now, for some of you, they say, well, Mark, I'm an LLC. I'm going to ask you, are you taxed as an S corp? Oh, yeah. Well, then you're a freaking S corp. So anybody out there asking this question, if you're an LLC taxed as an S corp, you're an S corp for tax purposes. So everything I'm saying about W-2, K-1, taking a salary, your spouse on salary, whatever, you're an LLC taxed as S corp, you're same as S corp. For all of you that are an LLC on a Schedule C, you are a sole proprietor. You still get both benefits, but you're gonna go at them differently. Okay, go ahead, Michael.
Okay, so that's great news. And so SBA PPP, talk to us, for independent contractors specifically.
Say it again, the SBD what?
The PPP for independent contractors.
That's where I was going next. Okay, so
great.
we talked about number one, the stimulus checks. Now we talked about the student loan forgiveness, stimulus checks. Now we did unemployment. So now we're going to talk about loans. All right. This is where it gets crazy.
By the way, on these comments in here, I got Mel was talking about, I forgot how great this guy's energy was. Everybody's like, Mark's great. We love him.
You guys are so wonderful. I appreciate it. I know when you call my office, you're sometimes like, why is this accountant not like Mark? I'm working on it. So just keep me informed. All right. Okay, I'm going to break these loans down into type 1 and type 2. And they really are 2 different types of loans. You've got the EIDL. That's the Economic Injury Disaster Loan. These are patterned after the 7A. So anybody that's gotten a loan before, that's kind of what they're like, and I'll explain them in a minute. The PPP is the Paycheck Protection Program. Oh my gosh, is it almost already 6? I cannot believe this. Okay. Well, I don't know what time zone you're in, but we were going to do this for an hour. It's getting out of control.
Dude,
okay.
Long as you got, I've got the rest of the night. I'm sure long. I'm getting from long. Okay. He's got as long as it takes to, and people are loving this. Keep going. I can't begin to tell you how the chat is blowing up right now. We're going to be spending the next week just answering questions in the chat.
Okay, now everybody hang tight. Let me get these out here because we're going to tie this in with unemployment and sick leave and loans. We're going to bring it all together. I'm just setting up the Legos here. Okay, everybody? All right, now, the EIDL is a disaster relief loan. The Paycheck Protection Program is a loan that is only available for the coronavirus situation. Now, they're talking about maybe even extensions, but for now, that's what we have. The PPP is an 8-week, kind of 2-month plan for the short run. The economic disaster loan is a longer type plan with some immediate help. They're both different. Now, here's the first point you have to remember. You can do both. You can do one or the other. It depends on your situation. So that's where it's going to drive you crazy here because you're going to go, oh my hell, and that's why you might want to set up a consult to work through the details. But here, I'm going to do my best to help all of you decide where you go. Now, for example, the EIDL, let's go through this one first. Think of this one like a hurricane hit your town. The President of the United States comes in and says, disaster area. You get special SBA loans. These have been around for a long time. But guess what? The president said the whole country is a disaster. That's what happened. He designated the entire United States as a disaster zone. So now you and me, even though I didn't get hit by a tornado, I qualify for the EIDL. Some of you that have lived in Florida and been hit with a hurricane, you've been down this path before. Now, that's the typical loan, but they made it better. There's my sham wow. It's going to get off and on. Okay, they made it better. With the EIDL, you can get $10,000 out of the gate right now. I went and applied Sunday night. Now, here's what's interesting. I applied for the EIDL. Michael, listen, this is important. You're going to like this, Long. I applied for the EIDL in my S Corp, but applied for the PPP in my partnership with my law firm. There's a reason why I did it different. So everybody, you got to listen. So the EIDL, I can get $10,000. In that application, all of you right now, let me tell you where you go. You go to, I'm going to go down even a little further. You go to sba.gov/disaster. That's where all of you go right now. After this webinar, not right now, after the webinar, you go there and you fill out this application. They ask for your routing number and your bank account number. You're going to put in your EIN, people, for your small business. If you're a sole proprietor, you put in your social. But you're going to put in your EIN for your business because it's all tracked to the small business that's applying. You're going to get 10 grand, bam. They say, I haven't seen my 10 grand yet, within a week. That 10 grand can be treated as a grant and is forgiven if you use it for payroll, rent, or mortgage payments on property owned by your business. Now, I think there's a little bit more to that definition, but those are the big three. I don't want to dive into the code for you here, but if you, that 10 grand can be forgiven. If you can apply though for more. You can apply up to $2 million. It's a 30-year term. Hold on to your shorts, Michael Long. You're going to love this. 30-year term, 3.75% interest on 200 grand or less. There's no personal guarantee, no real estate as collateral, and you can have a crappy credit score or prior bankruptcy.
Oh.
Did you hear that?
Yeah. So basically, if you have a pulse, if you can fog a mirror, you can pretty much qualify.
I'm hoping. Now, remember, I've already called my bankers. I've already been on the phone with 3 different bankers, and they said, that's what they say, but we haven't seen the app in its entirety, because you've got to fill out all this stuff online. Now, the initial 10 grand is a simple application, but the rest of it, whether you want 100 grand, 200 grand, or $1 million, you've got to claim again, as Pat, one of our business owners in here said, that you've been affected by coronavirus and what you need the money for. Because they're not just going to give it to you because you're like, oh, I'm going to expand and buy a new building. Now, here's what's cool. I want to get to my eraser. Now, whenever I want to get to the eraser, and damn it, don't you say an Apple comment. Okay. Now I can't even get to eraser when I want to. What do I do? What eraser? That's on the pen. Oh, that looks like an eraser. Shut up. Okay.
Hey, Tara, remind me to send Mark a business machine, a Surface Pro.
If you want to send me an Android, I'll take it. I need another paperweight. Okay, now. Oh, did I say that out loud? Okay, I'm just joking. All right.
Look out, Mark Gavi.
Okay, now, everybody, this is typically going to be a long-term loan to rebuild your business. Now, here's what I'm telling people. Like Michael said, apply. What the hell you got to lose? Go apply. Get in line with your banker. You can always turn down the loan later, but 2 months from now, when all hell's breaking loose and everybody's dying, you might need it. I don't know. Don't say, well, I don't need it right now. Get off your butt and get going on this. Now, here's what's cool. You ready for another one? Okay, let's go back to
Mark,
Mark
before you move on, can you?
Let me
Mark,
add one
before
more
you
piece,
move on,
Long.
can you? Okay.
Yeah, hold, Long, one second. Let me just, this is the last piece of this. Let me blow your mind. I'm an S Corp. I might get the EIDL here. I have an LLC with a rental property. My tenant's not paying the rent. I can get the IDL. I can get it in 2 different businesses. I can drop in 10K here and 10K here. I just have to show my tenant's not paying the rent. You see the news today? People are running down the streets of New York chanting, "Don't pay your rent." Okay, Long, go ahead.
Wow. So follow up on that one. If people have done it correctly and used an attorney like you, they might have 3 LLC with 3 different rental properties. Are you saying 10,000 each? All right. So they're good. Number 2 is, can you just, yes.
That's
Can you dispel this?
That's what I understand.
Yeah.
Can you dispel this? I thought I heard you cannot apply for more than 1 SBA loan at the same time. So you're saying that we could potentially apply for multiple different SBA type loans right now because of the situation?
Different businesses can apply. So my law firm with a partner, I can apply for a loan for that business. My S Corp, I can apply for a loan with that business. Now, if I've got, for some of you out there that have, now here's where this is going to bite you in the butt, some of you. Well, I've got 4 rentals, but they're all under my name. And I don't want to pay for an LLC in California because it's too darn expensive. It's $800. Yeah, and you say, I'll have umbrella insurance and that'll help me. Yeah, good luck with that one. I've already written articles and talked about it for years. But if you have an EIN and you've been filing a tax return for that rental property business, you're going to apply under that business. Now, if it's a see-through entity and it drops to your tax return on your social, I don't know if you can get it.
What if you just purchased 1 rental property and you don't even have a tenant in there yet and you hit this? Does that qualify?
Okay, under the IDL, your business, now Pat, this is where I was worried about you. This business has to have been already operational, making money before January 31st, 2020. This is not a loan to start a business. This is a loan to help the business that got damaged by the coronavirus. See, people? And the bankers are going to be under, you know, bankers, they can't even go to the bathroom without getting permission. They're going to make sure that you're not fooling them, because there's bank fraud is going to be all over this. People are going to try to figure out ways to backdoor into this. The banker's job is to say, yep, you got a legitimate tax return from last year. You got legitimate income. Sure, they're going to pull your bank statements and your tax return. You're not just going to walk in the door and go, yeah, I'm a business, and they're not going to give you $1 million. So for people out there, they're like, well, I just bought my rental property. I need the money. If you can't prove there's a problem and you just bought it, I don't think you're getting it.
Okay, so I'm getting questions from several people. One of them is the woman that introduced you and I, our good friend Josh Solinger, asked, what a family management company, sole props. And then I've also got C Corp. So basically, does this apply to all different business types if it's a legitimate business entity under the tax code, or is it only for certain business entity types?
Well, now my partner, Matt Sorensen, had this point. Now let me put the question in context. Under Mark Kohler 101, you might have an S Corp. You might have a couple LLCs. You might have a couple rentals. And you might have what we call this little family management company or sole prop, where I hire my kids. Now, if Josh's question is, and then down here is your family trust, and it all comes together and a river runs through it, Brad Pitt. Now, here's the problem.
Mark, can you move a little bit so we can see the screen behind you?
Get out of the way, Mark. We can't see the apple.
What I'm trying to say, okay, I need to, remember I told you I've got to turn around when I'm doing this. Okay, because I'm pointing at stuff. Shut up. Okay, all right.
Androids have touch screens, just saying.
Okay. I've been pointing at the freaking iPad, not up here. All right. Okay. Here's your S Corp. Here's your payroll. Do I have payroll here? Is it a valid business with a prior tax return? Yes, you're in business. I have a rental property in an LLC, probably a separate tax ID number or tax return. I'm going to try. It's not going to hurt me to try. And then Josh Zollinger, I love him, says, well, what about a family management company where I've been hiring my kids? Well, this is going to be under your social. I've always taught it goes under your social. Now, if long, I've heard you, I agree. I don't think this SBA is going to let me apply for 9 different loans without showing there are 9 different substantial, legitimate, standalone businesses. This is a sole prop. It's going to be under my social. And by the way, with my kids, I'm not filing W-2s and 941s. So I'm not going to get the Paycheck Protection Program here. And what do I need an IDL for? Yeah, my revenue went down, but I don't know. So here's the rule that I would like to live by. Pigs get fat, hogs get slaughtered. People, don't be too greedy here. Matt Sorensen made a good point. In theory, you can do all this. But if you go into the SBA and start throwing all this crap at them, you might end up at the end of the line where people that go in with a clean, easy, simple request get money before you, right? So here's what I even recommend to a client today. Go to one bank for your EIDL, go to another bank for your PPP. Why? Now, I already told my banker, I go, when you get the apps, if you think you can do a combo application and it'll fly through easier, I want to do it. If you don't think it will, I'll go somewhere else for the other loan. He's like, gotcha.
Okay. And so now, B Corps. I've had that question. Separate.
Okay. Now, people, that is the EIDL. It's a long-term loan, 200K or less, no personal guarantee, just need to be able to show damage to your business. Now, here's the Paycheck Protection Program. Buckle up. This one are for employers. And if you have an S Corp, you've employed yourself. If you are a sole proprietor, I'm going to take a pass on this one. In fact, I don't know if you're a sole proprietor if you can do the PPP on yourself, but I know in an S corporation you can. So if you want to call Matt Sorensen and see what he says, I would appreciate it. Text him and go, Matt, help me out. Can I do the PPP as a sole proprietor? Okay.
Tell him, no pressure, Matt. There's 3,000 people watching right now. No worries. Yeah. Take your time, Matt.
All right, so let's get the basics out here. Under this program, the maximum loan you can get, now everybody pay attention, the maximum loan you can get is 2.5 times your average monthly payroll. That's it. That average, this came out from the AICPA today, this morning, that average is based on your last 12 months. Now, for my realtors out there, Michael, I know you're already thinking through this long. You took payroll for the last 3 quarters last year. Have you done your payroll for this last quarter yet? I haven't, right? Mm-hmm. So you've got to say, what did I do? Okay, let's get a new picture here. I got to stand better, guys. Whenever I jack it up, you tell me. Okay, so I've got 2.5 times my average payroll over the last 12 months. So what we're looking at is here, we've got the 9 months before 2020, and we're right here. We are at the end of first quarter. So we got first quarter, we got fourth quarter, third quarter, second quarter. We don't care about first quarter last year. So this is 2019. I got to look at what was your payroll as an agent, broker, dentist, doctor, engineer, lawyer, accountant, carpet store owner, I don't know. What am I doing? And what's been my payroll for these last 4 months, these last 4 quarters? I divide that by 12. There's my monthly payroll. Now, if you're a solo S Corp owner and you're the only one on W-2 or your spouse, that's your number. So 2 weeks ago, Michael, I was telling people, don't do payroll first quarter. Why pay FICA in the next 4 weeks on payroll? You can catch up later this year. But if you're going down this Paycheck PPP loan, you've got to worry about your payroll for last quarter. And if you say you didn't have payroll last quarter, you're now unemployed. So am I going to take unemployment or am I going to put myself on payroll? Okay, now hang tight, hold on your shorts. So I've got my 2 times my average payroll. Now, let's say your payroll, let's just do it. Oh, I'm going to screw this up with something here. Help me out. Okay, 50 grand times 2.5 equals 125,000. So I could go borrow $125,000. If you use this money, now remember, this is the tricky part. The limit is based on your payroll. But if you use it in the next 8 weeks, once the loan funds, you've got 8 weeks. If you use it during those 8 weeks for the following: payroll, rent, debt service. Those are the 3 biggies. There's a little bit more in it. If I use it for those 3 things, I want to make sure I'm on my notes. If I use it for any of those things over the 8 weeks after I get my money, forgiven. Done. You never pay it back.
That's right.
So 8 weeks start from the time you receive the funds?
Correct.
And do you backdate it or you start payroll from that day forward?
Yes. It's payroll during that period. You have that 8-week money. Because what they want you to do, and if you were a legislator, a senator, what you're trying to do is say, I'm going to give this business owner 2.5 times their average payroll and tell them if they go out and hire and keep their people employed, I'll forgive the loan. And it's going to help the economy stay alive. Makes sense. Now, here's the tricky part. If your payroll decreases, so you really don't go out and hire those people, there's a proportional amount that's not forgiven. Then you have to pay it off over 15 years at 4%. Still not the end of the world, but it's not forgiven. Here's what's interesting. You go to your bank to apply for the PPP, and when the 8 weeks is over, you go back to the bank to apply for the forgiveness. That paperwork has not been released yet. Bankers are waiting for it. This is all we know. Really, the banker just said, they called your accountant on PPP? Okay, we just got a note here, just walking in the door, their banker, as of 5 o'clock today, Mountain Time, just got the application in. And so tomorrow morning, you're headed over there? Okay.
Okay, you better be.
Yeah.
So Mark, quick question. So here's another interesting scenario. So I buy a building or I own a building and, you know, so let's say my business occupies the building that I own, but I own the building in a different corporation that rents that building to my business.
Okay. Your LLC rents the building to your S Corp. Okay.
Okay.
And the question.
And so the question, so the question is because again, it's forgivable, right? The debt that's forgivable or the loan that's forgivable is loan that's used for payroll or debt service or rent. And so the question is, does that rent exemption still count, even though I own the corporation from which my business rents their space?
Yes, but here's the tricky part. Mm-hmm. Let's say I go over here and I want to get the EIDL, right? I just said, I'll get the EIDL over here. I'll get 10 grand. Now I have to prove that I need this 10 grand because my tenant's not paying the rent. Mm-hmm. Now, if I come over here and go, oh, I got the PPP and I get to forgive this debt because I paid rent, they're going to say, who'd you pay the rent to? If you lie on this application, which I'm sure is going to happen, and it gets audited, that would be bank fraud because you're saying
jail time, folks. Just FYI, that's actual jail time. Be prepared.
Yeah, that's actual jail time. So people, and there's people that are desperate out there. Scams are off the chart. The FBI put out a notice today to watch out. My wife's credit card got compromised on Sunday. People are trying to find money anywhere they can. So do not abuse this. Now, here's what's cool though. If I use this 10 grand, I can to pay down the mortgage here. That still qualifies. All I have to do is show that I was hurt. Over here, as long as I spend this on payroll or other things, it's okay. The rule is you can do both loans. I can do both loans as long as I don't double down on the same expense. They said that in the legislation. You can get the 10 grand here, you can get the 2.5 times your payroll here, and you can get this forgiven and that forgiven. Just don't use the money for the same freaking expense. They said that. I don't know if they put freaking in it, but that's what they said.
Okay, that's great information.
Okay.
Anything else on that? I've got another question for you.
Couple questions follow up on that.
Okay.
Number one is, you think that potentially this money will run out by certain time, so if you don't go apply soon, it's gone? How did they come up with a dollar amount? And the second follow-up question is, as real estate broker like myself and my business partner Mike Ferry at Realty Group, when we go to get the apply for the limit that uses payroll that you talked about, Mark, does 1099 count as payroll that we paid out to our agents?
Nope.
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 But
you W-2, 941. So let's use Long's second part of his question real quick. He's got a partnership. They're a brokerage. Now, by the way, if you come to Mark Kohler 101 and you're at Club Wealth, one of their trainings, because I'm there with them, that's why I want you involved in Club Wealth, because you're learning stuff that's going to save you money and taxes for many years to come. Guys, this isn't turn off education, turn off coaching, turn off support. This is the time to double down and get your crap together so when the money starts flowing again, you've learned something. You're leaner, you're meaner, you're having reserves, you're funding your 401k, you're buying rentals. So next time all hell breaks loose, which it will, you're going to be better prepared. Okay, so you got your LLC. I know Long's got the structure. Is that okay, Long, to say? We've got two S corps, an LLC. Up here, you might have employees, or you also have 1099s for all your agents. This is your secretary, staff, IT person, whatever. These are your agents. The 2.5 is based on the W-2 of all these employees. Down here, now this is where it gets tricky. Down here, Long has been taking payroll on himself. Okay, so now we're getting to the heart of the issue. I can take Long's payroll for the last 12 months average, multiply it by 2.5. So I'm going to go payroll times 2.5. He can get a PPP in his own S Corp for himself. And at the same time, he could say, I'm going to claim unemployment on my spouse. Also, if he's been paying his children out of his S Corp, that's going to increase the payroll amount. See, I've been teaching for years, get your family on payroll, take write-offs, quit giving your family money. Well, now it's paying off because you can get more loans forgiven. Now, I can't throw my family on payroll now. It's too late. This is to help people that already had payroll and to keep those people employed.
Okay, are you done on that one? Can I go to the next one?
Yes, sir.
Long, anything else on that? Okay, so this is, first of all, phenomenal information. Cannot thank you enough for doing this, Mark. I know we're helping a lot of people right now, and I want to thank everybody that's watching right now for taking the time to understand this. It's important. It will be. We've had a number of people ask, will this be reposted? Yes, this will be in the Facebook group, in the Club Wealth Facebook groups. If you go to facebook.com/groups/Club Wealth, you'll be able to go back and watch this video as many times as you want. We still have a lot more to cover, so pay close attention. A great question that just came from Club Wealth coach Andy Kantz is that he's online filling out the EIDL as an agent at S Corp, and it's asking for gross revenue and cost of goods sold. How would you answer that as a real estate agent?
Oh, good question. Okay, this is good for everybody. Andy's like, he's cheating. He's already going to the application during this video.
Right.
Good job, Andy. All right. When you go to fill this out, it's going to ask, what was your gross revenue last year and your cost of goods sold? Now, cost of goods sold, if someone, you don't know that, that means Like if you're a restaurant, that's the food you buy, or your servers, or your workers. Fixed costs might be your waitress, or not your waitress, but your host and your accountant. So cost of goods sold is the product it takes to sell my thing or service. Now on mine, I put down very little for cost of goods sold because I'm a service business. I wouldn't worry about it, Andy, because you could still get into this scenario where you're saying, I don't have a lot of cost of goods sold. I'm a service business. I haven't seen that be a damn, so on the P&L, people, this is called a profit and loss. What Andy's getting at is, here's your income for 2019. Was there a cost of goods sold? You may have zero there. And then you have all your other expenses, and then you have your net. When you go to finish the rest of the application, Andy, because I'm actually working on the rest of mine tonight, because you have to go submit documents. You're going to get a loan application number. You're going to write that down. And then when you go to submit your documents, they're going to ask for a lot of this crap. So you're the front end of the process. You're good, Andy. Don't worry about cost of goods sold. Sorry, it was a hard answer to kind of make sense of quickly.
So another one of our coaches, Coach Chrissy Horn, in a past life was also a CPA. She's suggesting that for real estate agents, it's going to be things like sign delivery, transaction coordinator, if you pay per transaction and not as a W-2, those types of things. Would you pictures for listings, those types of things? Would you concur with that, Mark?
Yeah, I give those cost of goods sold. Okay. You know, the more you could kind of throw in your cost of goods sold, it wouldn't hurt. I think I threw in $100 grand of cost of goods sold just for good measure, because I haven't done my tax return for 2019. We just got an extension for 90 days, right? Now, my accountants are busier than all get out because we're trying to get books done and tax returns for clients that need them for other FAFSAs and loans and all sorts of things. So don't stop doing your taxes right now during this time period. But you're going to guess at some of these numbers, and that's okay. When you go to fill out the final application and sign off on it, you just want to make sure you're not lying or cheating. Now, Long, I never answered your question. Someone said, how much is available? For the PPP, there's $350 billion. Now, what I believe they did is they said, only businesses with under 500 employees qualify. And they took the total payroll of the small business world and multiplied it by 2.5. 350 billion. I think that's how they came up with it. So, because again, you can't just cook up any number. It's your payroll that's literally on the reports of the IRS already times 2.5. And I think that's where they came up with that number. So the sooner you get in line.
So most likely you're not going to run out of money. Most likely.
No, I don't think so. And you know what? The Congress is already talking about phase 3.
Yep. Yeah. You know, it's crazy, right? I know.
Yeah.
This is, guys, this is historic. I mean, on so many levels.
Historic.
That's it. Other things that I wanted to touch on that I've been doing for a long time, been advocating for this for a long time. Some of you are doing it, most of you are not. But with my internal salespeople, my ISAs, I pay them minimum wage plus commission, right? Now, the reason I do that is because it allows me a level of control and protection, because I don't want to get into that 1099 versus W-2 mess. And as well, I want to be able to dictate more directly what they do with their time. And that, again, dictates that I have to pay them on a W-2. Team leaders should be paying very close attention to this, because this is one of the things that the IRS is pushing for with real estate agents, and team leaders is where we're vulnerable on this, because they want to classify real estate agents as W-2, but due to great lobbying from the NAR, they've been held off for decades. That said, because I pay them as a W-2 employee, I now can qualify under the PPP. I can qualify that payroll that I've been paying these guys. So that counts toward my 2.5% or my 2.5 times. That's a big deal. That's a lot of money we're talking about. And, oh, by the way, my son is one of those, and that helps as well. So go ahead, Mark.
Yeah, no, I love it.
So if you're not an S corp, and you're not an LLC, you're just a real estate agent with paying yourself directly, which one of these do you qualify?
Okay, my research assistant, here's awesome. He got a hold of Matt Sorensen. Sole proprietors qualify for the PPP. So let me answer Long's question. Now, some of you, this is again, Mark Kohler 101. Some of you are brand new agents, sole proprietor. You've never set up an LLC or an S Corp. You can stick with Club Wealth, you're going to need an S Corp. Okay. Now you've got an LLC and you're getting ready to pull the trigger on an S Corp. That's my amazing daughter, Sydney, here over here. Now you're an S Corp and you're doing the W-2. Both of these are a Schedule C. Now remember, people, you're saying, well, I'm not a sole proprietor, I'm an LLC. If you didn't make the S selection, you're a freaking sole proprietor. Okay, so when that money comes out, they're gonna look at what's your 12-month average profit from April 1st of 2019 until March 30th or 31st, 2020. You're going to look at what was my profit, and you're going to verify that, divide it by 12, and then multiply it by 2.5. There's your loan. Okay, now here's another trick. Okay, this is another big deal. Now everybody listen. And I know there's agents out there making more than 100 grand, 200 grand, 300 grand, 400 grand. And we've determined in your S corporation what your payroll should be. Now we did this at the Club Wealth rendezvous or big meeting, what do we call it, the convention in November last year. We want to nail your payroll as low as possible to get the biggest K1 to get the 199A deduction. That's still happening, people. We're trying to save money here already. This is just a new twist. Now, if your payroll is 100 grand or more, and typically that's a realtor or broker of mine that's making about 400 grand. If you're making 400 grand, your payroll is going to be about 100 and your K1 is going to be 300. Now, I know there's people on here that are like, those numbers are not in my realm. That's cool. But there's people watching that are. Mm-hmm. Okay. So if you're taking 100 grand W-2 and a 300 grand K1, here's the deal. Now, this is very important, people. What can I take as part of what can I do in my PPP? So I'm going to take 100 grand divided by 12. So I'm going to have, okay, I'm going to take down that number. I want to get it just right. So 100,000 divided by 12 times 2.5. Your maximum loan is going to be 20,833. And then in the next 8 weeks, how much do you think you're going to pay yourself? 20,833. Forgiven. The government just paid your paycheck. Now, here's the trick. This number is limited to 33,000. So what you've got to do is be careful. For some of you that are taking bigger salaries, or you have employees with bigger salaries, you've got to be careful that this amount during the 8 weeks cannot exceed 33 grand per employee.
I thought supposed to say, okay, per employee.
Per employee.
That's the key.
Or that part's not forgiven. Now you can pay them if you want, but you're only going to get forgiven up to 33 grand, $333 per employee during that 8 week period.
And it doesn't matter if that person's making $150,000, $200,000 a year. You're as long as you understand you're limited to the 3333.
Yep.
333. Okay.
So what I did, this might help some of you. Let's just take a breath for a minute. One thing that I did on a yellow pad today is, let's say I'm meeting with a small business owner. We could have option 1, option 2, or option 3. In fact, we could even, oh my gosh, we're going to do more. I could do 1, 2, 3. I'm going to try to come up with 4 and 5. Let's do it for fun. Okay, so this is what my attorneys are going to do on a phone call with any of you. If you want to set up a 1-hour call and talk about your situation, we're going to give you suggestions and you decide what to do. This is not an infomercial, but I'm just saying, if you don't have someone to turn to, you want to dive into the deep water, this is what our attorneys would do. Number 1, maybe you claim unemployment on yourself. You just say, I'm just going to claim unemployment. Or I claim unemployment on my spouse and I still go get a loan. All right. Number 3, now this is good. You could give sick leave to your spouse, then have him or her claim unemployment, and still go get a loan. We haven't even got to sick leave yet. Number 4, I could do the PPP and just do my 2.5 times payroll, get some free money, keep the doors open, pay my employees, including myself. Or I could do the EIDL, get the free 10,000 plus whatever else I need, and I'm going to pay it back over 30 years at 3.75. Not a bad thing. Number 6, I might do the PPP and the EIDL in the same business or in multiple businesses. And meanwhile, I could still have my spouse or children that have been on my payroll, if that's the case, claiming unemployment or even doing some sick leave. So you just got to figure out, okay, how payroll heavy am I? How much money do I need? What should I apply for? What I'm telling everybody to do is at least go get your 10 grand. And if you are on payroll or you've got income, you want to try to get that income, and you may want to claim some payroll for first quarter. How much? I don't know. See, again, you might be in Kentucky versus California versus New Jersey. And if you put your spouse on payroll for first quarter, they may still not be able to claim payroll, unemployment. But if you don't put them on, they may not be able to claim unemployment. But if you put them on payroll, you might get bigger PPP, right? So you got to kind of figure out what's best for you. Woo!
Okay. We've got some great questions coming in right now. So many people. One of the questions that's a real easy one, home office rent, right? So if I have a home office and I'm claiming that as a deduction, does that count as paying, does that count for the PPP? So
I don't, here's the answer. That's a great question. Here's our opinion at our law firm and accounting firm. If you're a sole proprietor or an LLC, you're just taking the home office deduction on a Schedule C. By definition, that's not rent. But if you're an S Corp, we are booking it as rent reimbursement to you personally, and on the line of your S Corp, it's going to show rent. So in 2018 or 2019, if you're at my accounting firm, we're booking rent in your S Corp. Therefore, that would qualify. Or if you're like Michael, which one of our best long-term real estate strategies is, buy your own freaking building and pay rent back to yourself. That's obviously going to qualify.
So you guys, I'm going to share something that's going to sound insensitive, but we need to understand this for what it is. It's times like these that the greatest shifts in wealth in the United States happen. And you're on one side or the other of it. And the way that you're on the positive side of it is you get educated. And that's why we're here with Mark today. Like it or not, this is happening. Like it or not, people are going to take advantage of this. The question is going to be, are you going to be one of them? Because you're either going to take advantage of it and you're going to use it for what it's there for, or you're going to not take advantage of it and you're going to get left behind. And other people that do take advantage of it are going to have an advantage over you in business because they're now going to have a cash infusion in their business that you're not going to have if you don't take advantage of it.
Yep. Let me give you an example here too. 2 points long, and then I know you want to comment. Let me just say this. 2 examples. I just shot a video with my daughter on this. You know, some people said, is it the right time to buy real estate? I don't know. There's some deals out there. Remember in 2007 and 8? Who came in on the heels of that and bought $1 billion worth of real estate? His name's Warren Buffett. He was around holding everybody's car keys when they were drunk at the bar buying real estate, not knowing what the hell they were doing. He was like, you just buy. As soon as the market crashes, I'll go buy it.
And I would take that a step further, Mark. It's not just like, it's because some people are thinking, well, I'm going to wait a few months until the market really tanks and the prices come way down. Listen, you got to factor in a couple of things, you guys. Number one, interest rates, they aren't going to be this low forever, right? We are historically low, no question. The other thing you've got to understand, and I think this is really key here, is that when the markets have crashed, the difference in the price points is not where the money's at. The difference in rents is when the market crashes, rents don't generally go down, they go up. When people are losing their houses, they got to live somewhere. So they might lose their primary residence, but they're going to go rent somewhere. And that's what puts that pressure on the rents to go up. So the people that are in an ownership position before that happens and are buying for cash flow and not for appreciation, and they're buying to hold long-term and not to flip, they're the winners.
Yep. One other point, I said there's two. Second one, now this is important, everybody. Did you know you have 3 years to file your tax return? And if you're due a refund, you lose it. So think about this. In 2015, when was the last, based on an extension, when could you file your return? It was October of 2016. The 3 years starts clicking. In October 15th, 2019, that was the last time you could file to get a refund for 2015 if you were due that. Okay, makes sense? You have 3 years for when your tax return was due. That ended for 2015 on October 15th, 2019. That was just 5 months ago. IRS reported $1.4 billion of unclaimed refunds went back into the kitty. People that didn't file their tax return because they were sitting on their hands. That's Michael's point. You've got crazy, right?
You got to take advantage of it right now. You got to take action. Here's the thing.
Yeah.
Sit on the sidelines. You're going to freaking lose. Get into action right now.
Long, what were you going to say?
So, guys, I know we can get all geeked out, right? All three of us love this. We're 90 minutes into it. I probably blew people's mind, but I got a full of notes. My pen actually ran out. I have to use a second pen. But one thing I hear from this is you highly recommend, Mark, that people seek professional advice. Go to your CPA, go to your attorney, make sure your banker, make sure you help with this. And personally, for me, I'm going to try to take advantage of any of these loans as possible. If I don't need it, I'm going to build my reserve. And if I don't need it, I'm going to use it for my business growth. This is once in a lifetime opportunity.
Yep. Now, by the way, I want to still answer some more questions before some of you jump off. Michael, Long, you start cruising the questions. Let me give you a few practical recommendations. Number one, go buy a gift basket of bread and some jam. Drop it off at your banker's office tomorrow morning. I'm not kidding. You want to be at the front of the line? You go give your banker a gift certificate for lunch tomorrow. Bring him by a basket of goodies. I'm not kidding. Number two, if you call your accountant or law firm and they don't know what they're doing, shop around. If you call my law firm and we say, hey, we need $300 to help guide you through this, do you think you're going to get that back tenfold? Don't complain about it. Even if you don't use my firm, pay for some professionals. And if you're a pain in the butt and yelling at them, they're not going to make you the front of the line. Be nice to your banker. Be nice to your accountant, your lawyer. It's a crazy time. I worked 80 plus hours the last 3 weeks in a row. I'm dying. I'm not going to answer a phone call of a client that's going to yell at me. I'm going to do my best. Be patient. Give your banker a treat. Okay, questions. What do we got left on the list?
Okay, so Long, do you have one picked out? So we'll just alternate here. Long, you ask one rapid fire, then I'll ask one after you. And we're going through the
You can go ahead right now. I've been asking my question as we go along, so I'll add as we go.
Okay, so I'm reading from the chat right here. I'm trying to grab as many questions from the chat as I can. If we have not answered your question yet, repost it because I can only see so far up in the chat, and they disappear while we're live. That being said, so one of the questions is, can you claim unemployment as a sole proprietor and also do EIDL and PPP?
Okay, this is a good question. Let me repeat that. Can I claim unemployment and the PPP? Very good question. Now let's think about that. If I go claim unemployment, and that could be a good move for some of you. That could be a good move. Maybe your business is totally trashed and you're like, why am I going to pay myself? It's gone. And there are clients of mine where their business is done. And unemployment is not the worst thing in the world right now. Maybe even for your spouse or something. I don't know. If you claim unemployment, you're going to calculate how much you think you could get per week. You're going to look at the state rules and run the numbers. You're going to compare that to the PPP. Now remember, the Paycheck Protection Program means you're employed. You can't be unemployed and be on the payroll. Now, you could give your spouse could claim unemployment from the business if you can show they've been on payroll, or you might even give your spouse sick leave, and we'll come over to that in a moment, and claim PPP on the business. But you as an owner cannot get unemployment and PPP. It's not going to happen. And someone asked, could I claim PPP and get that to hire my employees, but I'm unemployed? I think you're going to have problems.
Yeah, that's gonna. I would call. I mean, you got to remember, guys. If it walks like a duck and talks like a duck, it's probably a duck. That sounds like fraud waiting to happen. You got to be, guys. Don't cross the line of even beginning to get into a gray area. It's not worth it. Trust me. Be very careful with this. All right, another couple of questions that we've gotten. First of all, one of the questions is, how do I contact Mark? If you guys go to Mark, is it Mark J. Kohler? I've got the website.
I'll put KKOSlawyers.com up there. That might be best.
Well, I put the Club Wealth link in there, Mark. markjkohler.com/Club Wealth, and I just checked it, and it is working. And we've posted that in this thread, and there's a form there, and that form will go right to your folks, and they'll know that you're with Club Wealth.
Yes.
And by the way, we don't get paid for this, just so you know. But it helps
nice to know
you're with Club Wealth.
Yep.
So,
and by the way, people, I've got a newsletter that's free every week. I've been doing it for 10 years. We're covering this on our podcast and different pieces of this every week for the next new foreseeable future. If you want to get on our podcast, go to Refresh Your Wealth on iTunes. You can sign up for my newsletter at markjkohler.com. And if you want to call the law firm and get a consult, 435-586-9366. Pay for an hour with one of our tax attorneys. We'll walk you through it.
Mark, I'd like to republish that on our site as well, on our group, if you're okay with that, with your podcast.
Yes,
so as those come up, let your folks.
You know, like literally, we just met with our attorneys this afternoon. We gave them all a reading assignment of about 200 pages. And then we're doing a training for 2 hours with all of our attorneys in the morning to make sure we're all on the same page.
Yep, that's good. I love it.
All right, Mark, so
go ahead, Lon.
Speaking of tomorrow morning, what's some action item that everybody have listened to this should do tomorrow?
Great.
Well, good comment. The first thing that I don't think is a bad idea at all is apply for the EIDL. Sorry.
EIDL.
EIDL. That's the, I always forget the
10 grand.
Okay. Yep. Apply for the 10 grand. Now, if you can show that it was used for payroll, rent, debt payments, whatever, it's a grant. It's free. If you can't, you have to pay it back. So I want to have everybody don't get pissed and send me an email later going, I had to pay my 10 grand back. Well, obviously you didn't follow the rules on what you were supposed to use it for. If you pre-bought your cruise for this Christmas with your family, it's not going to be a write-off, okay? I would say that's number one. And you can do that tonight. Go to sba.gov/disaster. Start the process. You can always reject how much, you're going to say eventually how much money you want, but get in line. Number two, review your payroll reports. You got to know, how much did you pay yourself the last 12 months? Did you have your spouse on payroll? At least have those numbers in front of you, because you're going to either need them for unemployment or you're going to need them for the PPP. So you might as well get your payroll reports in order. Now, before you file first quarter, now this is important, everybody. In 2020, your first quarter payroll is January, February, March. You got to file your 941 by the end of April. We have a payroll team. You could call my payroll team, April, and we could run your payroll. But I don't know what payroll to run. And this is going to depend on what you decide to do. I'm going to say number three, because if you do a consult with my team, we're going to ask you some of those questions. So I would set up a consult with an advisor to just kind of run some numbers, do your research all night long. And I'd say you want to consult with your tax person or legal. That could be one of our tax lawyers helping you out. I'd go meet with your banker. I mean, call your banker. Pat, was it hard to get in with them today?
They called me.
They called you.
Yeah.
I love it. Freaking A. You've got a good business owner here. His banker called him. I think the banker's going to be a little busy soon. Any ideas here in the room, or throw it out? I'd say get your consult, pull your number four, get your books done for 2019, people. find out if you're not using QuickBooks, start building it on Excel, go through your bank statements, your credit card statements. You're going to have to do your taxes for 2019 anyway. I know some of you thought, oh, I get this 90-day deferral. I'm just going to not think about it for 90 days. No, get on it. Number 5, and I mean this not to be self-serving, start getting yourself a little more educated on all this. I like what Michael said. I've had a learning experience, a wake-up call. How much toilet paper do I have in my house? You know, how much cash do I have under my mattress? Are my reserves where they should be? I think all of us have realized we need to be better prepared financially, spiritually, emotionally. Is our business as organized as it should be? Have I been doing my tax planning properly? And this is why your coaching is not the first thing you get rid of. Right now, whether it's with your accountant, your lawyer, your business coach, or whoever, spend this time wisely.
You know, in terms of cutting expenses, Mark, one of the things I've been very vocal about right now is that people should first look to their personal expenses, their household expenses. That's where you cut first, right? Your business, that's the goose that lays the golden eggs. The eggs, that's your personal life. That's what you want to do is don't kill the goose, just eat fewer eggs. That's where you need to be focused, because if those people that are investing in their businesses right now, the people that are putting their foot on the gas right now, they're going to come out ahead. And I'll tell you, we're doubling down on all kinds of, we're hiring salespeople as fast as we can get them right now. I can't possibly find salespeople fast enough right now. That said, Mark, keep going with your points. You're on number 5. And then I've got a couple more questions I want to get to. I got Coach Brandon Landro's question next.
Yeah, I think this helps. I'm just going to summarize. Apply for your 10 grand loan, get online tonight, get your payroll reports in order, get a consult with someone or do the math yourself. Get your books in order for 2019. On any of these loans, you're going to need it. Continue your education. I got great YouTube videos. I know Club Wealth has a ton of education there. My blog, entrepreneur.com. Okay. What's the next question?
Okay, so Brandon Landro, he's one of our coaches, super smart guy, has a great question. If I've got $100,000 on W-2 and $300,000 on K-1, how do I maximize the PPP?
Okay, so what he's saying is in 2019 and the first quarter, okay, let's do it a little better. So if Brandon's saying I've got now Brandon, see, this is tricky. When you said you got 100 grand on a W-2, that's for 2019. You got 100 grand W-2 and a 300 grand K-1. Is that right?
Yep, that's right.
What do you have first quarter? Because think about it. Now this is the big question. I haven't figured this out for myself. How much payroll do I take in this first quarter? If I take, let's just have fun with this. If I take 25 grand in payroll, so I follow the track here, I got to pay FICA in the next 4 weeks. So FICA on 25,000 is going to be 15%. So that's 2,500 plus another 5 on that. So that's 20. I'm going to be about 3,500, right? No, 3,750. I'm going to have to write a check for FICA for 3,750. No, oh, by the way, guys, I've got more. Don't disappear. This is important. I got a very important point. So I got to pay FICA of 3,750. Now your PPP is going to be 2.5 times your average payroll per month. And we did that math up here. What did we come up with? We said it was it right here.
20,000.
20,833. Is that right? Yeah. So you're going to get forgiveness of 20,000 something. Now that'll help pay your FICA. Gosh. Because see, you're not going to get the 20,000 if you don't finish your payroll for last quarter. So I think it's a necessary evil. You're going to have to pay that FICA. and you're going to have to pay that FICA to get the 20,833. That's what your PPP is. Now that's assuming you didn't put your spouse on payroll. Now, by the way, payroll includes, now Matt Sorensen was telling me this, okay, now this is important, everybody. Your payroll includes your salary plus any health insurance for your employees, which could include you. So you have to take your annual life insurance and divide that by 12. Health insurance, sorry, your health insurance, and any retirement plan matching. So if you have a solo 401k, another strategy you would have learned at your Club Wealth annual meeting, we would have said, I got a solo 401k and I did a 401k contribution. So, gosh, there's so many variables here. This is where if I had Michael on the phone and I could look at, okay, what state is he in? Is his wife on payroll? Were his kids on payroll? Did he do a 401k? What was his health insurance? So we would do that on a phone call, come up with that number for last year, the last 12 months, divide it by 12, multiply it by 2.5, there's my application. Then I'm going to turn around and say, okay, you got 8 weeks to spend it. What are you going to spend it on? I'm going to find out what he's doing for rent, what he's doing out for his family. That's what you're going to have to do on your own if you can figure it out or get someone to help you walk through it. Now, let me say another important strategy. Okay, you ready? Buckle up. You can borrow from your solo 401k now up to 100 grand. You could also take a distribution from your 401k, pay no penalties, no tax, no interest. You've got 3 years to put the money back. If you don't pay it back, you got to pay the taxes over a 3-year period. Is this crazy? So you could go to your 401k, pull out some immediate money, get the PPP, and pay back the 401k. All right, ready? So you've got your S Corp, you got your 401k, you go out and draw 20 grand. Right now, no penalties, no tax, no interest. You can pull that out in the next 48 hours because you need it. Go get the PPP based on your payroll of Andy's example of 20,000. As soon as the money comes back, do I pay the 401k loan off? No, 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 no. What do you got to do with it? I got to do payroll to Andy, and then Andy takes that money, pays off his 401k. The government forgives the 20 grand.
Dude, like seriously, if you start thinking about this, there's a lot of ways to really make this work for you. All right, so I can see Long is I can see he's reading through a lot of the questions now.
Let's take 2 more questions. See where we go.
There you go. I think we're getting to the point where it's like, holy cow! Like I think Long's right, where people's brains are getting a little full. Okay. I know I got Brandon and I and Long. We'd sit here and geek out on it all night, but all right.
I'll finish off with some sick leave for fun. Okay.
Oh, that's right. We do need to mention that really quick. And so Brandon's like, this is so good. It's like, so you rock, Mark. All right. Okay. So let's go. Tara got one via email here. Let's see. I'm filling out the SBA disaster one. That's for a trade name. What do they mean? Okay. That's their, let's go to a different one. Well, we can ask that. When they're asking for a trade name, Mark, on the SBA application.
I put Mark J. Kohler, me, because I brand myself. So if you're a realtor with a DBA, fine. If you're not, just put in your name. Because you're right, it's a required field. I filled it out myself. Just put in your company name, whatever you brand, whatever it is. It doesn't have to be an official DBA.
Okay, so I want to get to one last question before you get into the Families First Coronavirus Response Act, which is a very big deal. Let's go to, we're getting a lot of questions on, can you do unemployment and EIDL, or does it have to be either or?
No, you can do the EIDL and unemployment, but you can't do the, see again, you have to say who you're doing unemployment on. If you're doing unemployment on your spouse or your kids who've been on your payroll, they can go claim unemployment, but you you've got to say, okay, if I'm going to, I'm sorry, if I'm going to get the PPP, my payroll is going to be based on that. And then I've got to pay myself. And if you have employees, but you're unemployed, you're running the business. You're going to have problems. So, but you could do unemployment and the EIDL because you're not getting payroll subsistence. You're just getting a disaster loan.
So again, then trying to do EIDL and PPP would smell fishy. So
No. I'm okay. Let me just say this. You can do the EIDL and PPP because remember, you might do the EIDL to keep the doors open.
I'm sorry. I said PPP. I meant unemployment. I'm sorry about that.
Yeah. Unemployment and PPP, no good. Unemployment and EIDL, I like it. Unemployment for your spouse and PPP and EIDL, you can do all three.
Totally fine. There you go. All right. That was great. And to answer Dale's question, Dale, or Mark, sorry, does this apply to C corporations?
Yes,
yes,
it does. Great. And you just can't have more than 500 employees. That's where.
There you go. All right. So let's talk for a minute really quick about employee rights. And this is a big deal. So we just had a great call with our HR department on this. And Mark, what's your synopsis of the employee rights under this? If they take time off, they've got up to 12 weeks and they could get up to 12,000 total. Talk to us about this extension of what is the Family Medical Leave Act.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Now this law is made up of two parts. Just kind of like we have two loans under this CARE Act. We have sick leave and family medical leave. Now this is good, Pat, too, for your employees because they might self-quarantine and that this could work. Okay. So let me get the notes up here and then I'll run you guys through it.
As you're grabbing those notes, I think one of the things that we need to start with as a start for the conversation, how many employees someone has, because there's different guidelines if you have fewer than 5, fewer than 50, or fewer than 500.
Okay, if you have fewer than 50 employees, there's some exemptions if it's going to be hard for you on your business. I don't think, for some people, they're like, I don't have the money to carry this out for my employees and I have less than 25 employees. I don't know if it's 50. I think it's actually 25. Maybe it's 50. But the point is, no, it's 50 employees. So if you have fewer than 50 employees, you're like, screw it. I'm not going to do sick leave or FMLA. You just have to show the labor department that it would have killed your business. But if you can float it, the government completely reimburses you. So just chill out, people. All right. Okay. So let's do this. Okay. So there's two parts to this. The first one is sick leave. All right, sick leave. With sick leave, any of your employees that have one of 3 reasons, I'm going to read the 6 reasons here, they can get $511 a day up to whatever their normal pay is for a total of $5,110 for 80 hours, which is approximately going to be 2 weeks, right? So if I have an employee that meets one of these 3 reasons, I can pay them and the government is going to reimburse me. Tomorrow, on April 1st, we get the documentation for this on how to apply for that. It's going to be a dollar for dollar credit on your 941. So Michael, for example, when you go do your 941 in April to pay yourself or your employees, and you have to deposit FICA, whatever you paid in sick leave is going to be a dollar for dollar credit against that.
Okay, I get that, but here's I think the follow-up to that, Mark, that's very pertinent is what if the amount of sick leave exceeds the amount of my tax, that's due. So
yes.
if
yeah, the government said that if the credit, if your taxes owed doesn't cover the credit, the government says they're going to issue a check as soon as possible. They say right now they're saying no later than 3 months. Now, I don't think that's going to fly. Everybody's going to want that check sooner. But they said you do get a check for it.
Really?
Yes. Now,
it scares me a little.
I know. But many people that have employees that are doing sick leave, your FICA is going to be significant. So you should be okay. Now, again, the PPP, what you're applying for, you're going to be okay. You can borrow from take it out of your 401k and take care of it and put it back. So the government's trying to say, hey, just do it. We're going to get you. We're going to take we got your back. Okay. Now let me give you the 6 reasons. Just real quick. Number 1, your employee is subject to a federal, state, or local quarantine or isolation order. What are we up to now? 45 states?
Yeah.
44 states have said
It's going to be
home.
pretty much everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you can give them sick leave because the states told them to stay home. Okay. Number 2, the employee has been advised by a healthcare provider to self-quarantine. I've had people that said, I got exposed, I got to stay home. Number 3, the employee is experiencing symptoms and is seeking a medical diagnosis. Doesn't mean you've been tested positive. You just have symptoms. They can take sick leave for 80 hours, up to $511 a day. You track it and put it in your QuickBooks or your payroll department that it was sick leave. You get fully reimbursed. So instead of telling your employee, sorry, you get nothing, say, we're going to call it sick leave. You're going to get a regular paycheck for the next 80 hours, and then you mark it as sick leave. Okay.
So that's different than working at home, correct?
That's right. Now, if they're working at home, you can't do this.
Good question.
They have to be home, not working. And it's on top of any accrued sick leave they've already earned.
So whatever your current sick leave policy is. All right, so now let's take this a step further. What if I have given them the opportunity as the employer, or if I'm an employee and I have the opportunity and ability to work from home? There's some question as to whether or not they should take that time or if I'm required to give it to them.
Okay. Now we're in the PPP, right? So if my employees are all going home to work, we face this. We're like, should we send home these 5 paralegals to work from home? We're like, how efficient are they going to be? Are we really going to get the value of them working from home? Or should we just lay them off? Oh, the PPP said, keep them employed and we'll reimburse you 100%. So now if they're sick and you just say, you know what? Why don't you take sick leave for 2 weeks? We'll get our PPP money and have you back. You could do that. See, there's so much strategy here.
Yeah.
All right, now, if that's one of the other 4 reasons, they get up to $200 a day for a total of $2,000. Okay, better than nothing. The employee is caring for an individual, not limited to a family member, that's subject to a quarantine. Here's the big one. Number 5, the employee is caring for a son or daughter, dependent, whose school place is closed, or childcare. How many of you watching, you got a kid at home, you got to watch more now? Done. That qualifies as sick leave, but it's paid at 2/3 the amount, up to $200 a day. Okay, that's sick leave. Any thoughts or questions on that?
This is so, you guys, I'm going to come back to, this is complicated. And let me tell you something, it's worth paying someone to help you with this.
Yeah,
It really is.
Okay, here's a good question from our live audience. Thank you, live audience. Finally, you come through with the question. Damn it. So, okay. He said, what happens if my wife, who's on payroll, has to take sick leave to go watch our kids at home? Not a problem. She can take sick leave. She gets 2/3 of her pay, up to $200 a day. Now, I don't know, Pat. I thought you said your wife was showing symptoms, or I'm just saying, isn't she self-quarantined at home? Okay, now you get the $511 a day. Then what happens after the 2 weeks? Sorry, you're fired. Now she gets the 2 weeks paid leave, you get reimbursed, then she jumps onto unemployment while you take PPP for the next 8 weeks. See, this is why unemployment, sick leave, PPP,
Mark,
it's all related.
Mark, you need to come up with a 1-page summary, grid system, matrix of how this whole thing works, man.
I know.
I'm telling you.
Well, see, here's the hard thing. I thought of that, but every variable, you'd have about 10 different sheets. And probably 10, because you got 10 different types of business owners. And and I don't mean to be rude, but who's gonna pay me to sit down for the next 48 hours and come up with that? I'm just trying to keep up with the new laws. So I'm training my attorneys and CPAs. You call up, we'll tailor it to you, get with your own advisor, but here you have enough to be dangerous Because if you go to your professional tomorrow and you get on the phone and you know more than them, you got the wrong professional.
So Brandon Landreau, by the way, Coach Brandon just said, and I think I'll get him and Long to join together on this. Brandon's like, I'd pay $1,000 for that one page. But the truth of the matter is, Brandon, it's going to take a lot more than $1,000 to cover 48 hours of Mark's time. But
yeah, but Brandon, you don't have to pay $1,000.
That's right.
One of my tax attorneys,
that's
for
right.
$300, maybe $600 if you need 2 hours of time, they're going to tailor it to you. You're done.
That's right. That's exactly. And by the way, that's my official recommendation for all y'all. And I don't get paid to tell you that, right? Mark Pitt doesn't pay me jack. No offense. He should, but he doesn't. So I'm just telling you guys, literally.
Hey, you know what? That's bull crap, because when was the last time you got a bill from me when you called me about your kids or your business?
Well, there is that. There. Okay. All right. Fair enough.
Yeah, now Michael does get some free TLC. Now, when he does his tax return, I got to pay my team for that. But you know, you always got me. I'm here for it.
But truth be told, regardless, and I shouldn't say this with you listening, but regardless, I'd still pay the freaking money. It's worth it, you guys. Look, just like you guys are worth it as real estate professionals. There's a reason why you earn the money you earn, and you should.
Bill Michael tomorrow.
Whoa! Back up. What I meant to say. Oh my gosh, Sydney's in the room there. She's like, he got her, Dad. Got him, Dad. Way to go. Yeah.
No, but thank you, Michael. You're so good.
No.
Hey, has your kid come home yet?
No, dude, she's there. She comes, well, hopefully if they let her across the border, she comes home soon. And by the way, while you've been teaching, apparently there was an earthquake in Nampa, somebody's porch caved in on their 14 dogs. Sorry, Garrett, Coach Garrett's there in Nampa saying that they had a mild earthquake. So I don't know if you felt it there in Boise or in Rexburg or not, but.
Okay.
All right.
Now let me, crazy, in Salt Lake's earthquake 2 weeks ago was nuts. Okay. Now, let's just talk Family Medical Leave Act. Now, here's the rule. Your employee must have been employed by you for at least the last 30 days. Mm-hmm. And the special family medical leave is now extended, and it's 12 weeks, and they can go home to take care of a family member, and it's paid up to 2/3 of the employee's regular rate for a maximum of $200 a day or $10,000 maximum. The job is protected unless you have less than 25 employees. That's where the 25 employee came in. Is if you have less than 25 employees, if you can't bring them back, too bad. But they get this, and the government will reimburse you this money plus FICA. And the application is out tomorrow on how to proceed with this. And that's the FMLA. Now, you can send them home for the first 2 weeks under the sick leave. Mm-hmm. And then after the first 2 weeks, you kick them into the FMLA. Isn't that what you saw, Mike, when you met with your HR?
Yeah, essentially. Now, the other thing that was real key when we talked with our HR guys is if you're under 25 and there's the firing them after, like if there is a clear cut, this is going to destroy my business, to have all go away. Like if I've just got the one assistant or whatever. Oh, we just lost your video, Mark. Are you there, Mark? Did we literally lose his feed?
We might have a 2-hour limit with him.
I was just gonna say, I think Long just pulled the trigger. He's like, it's like the Gong Show. Anyway, long story short, you guys, here's what it boils down to. You guys need to reach out to Mark. You need to reach out to Teamworks if you have issues. If you have questions on FMLA, reach out to Teamworks on the whole time off thing. I will say this to those of you that are employees that are watching. Again, you guys, please, if you can work and it works for you and for your company to have you keep working, please keep working. Let's not shut the country down entirely. Now, that's to say that you should be, physically in the presence of other people. We're, still be safe, follow the guidelines that the government, both the local and national, have issued, and the CDC. Make sure you're following their guidelines. That being said, to the extent possible, to the extent that you can do so safely, be a contributing member of society. We all need to dig in. We all need to help each other out right now, and we all need to find ways that we can contribute. So please, please make sure you're doing that. That said, reach out to Mark and reach out to Teamworks if you have questions about the FMLA or about the stimulus package. So Coach Long, anything you'd like to add before we wrap up?
This is amazing. Everyone, I took a ton of notes, so hopefully, I know some people might even be more confused now than ever, which is why get a professional help. Just like we recommend people, to reach out to a real estate professional to help them with the buying and selling their home.
I love it. Good stuff. Well, Coach Long and everybody who's on, and especially Mark Kohler, thank you guys so much for doing this today. Cannot thank you enough. And we're going to go ahead and wrap it up. We'll come back with more updates from Mark here in the coming days, weeks, and well, however long this goes on. But my hunch is this will all be pretty well fleshed in the next couple of days and weeks. And thank you, Mike Bjorkman, saying thank you guys. Appreciate all of you guys. And if you've gotten value to this, tag somebody else, let them know where it's at, so that they can easily find it. If they're not a member of the Facebook group already, add them to the Facebook group. Make sure that they watch this. And with that, we'll wrap it up. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a great day and stay safe and be productive. Take care.